Okay, we are on the last set of our compound inequality lesson. Today we're going to talk about interval notation, and what it has to deal with is writing a compound inequality. That's part of our learning targets, going aligned with that. Interval notation, there's some things you need to know. If you have a parentheses, it means the number is not included. Okay, if you have parentheses, it means don't include it. It would be similar to saying the less than or greater than. You don't have a line under it. If you have a bracket, that's the same as saying that says that it is included. So it would be things like the less than or equal or greater than or equal. You also need to know some things. You need to know that numbers go all the way to infinity, and they can go to the left from negative infinity. Infinity means it keeps on going forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So it's gonna look weird. But how I write, infinities also are aligned with the or compounds. Infinities have nothing to do with and compounds, only the or compounds. So infinity symbols are related to or, okay? All right, and this is how I write it. It looks like a point, okay? I say -4, it's gonna say write this in interval notation. I say, okay, started at -4, comma, I go to 4. -4 to 4, that's how I say it. And now I deal with my do I put parentheses or a bracket? Well, -4 is not colored in, so I'm going to put parentheses. And 4 is colored in, so I'm going to put a bracket. This is saying x is between the interval of -4 to +4. Okay? -4, comma, +4. How do I know it's not a point? Because I have this bracket. And I have the number line. So I know it's not a point on the graph. Another one. Here, so my step is I write down the two numbers separated by a comma. So I have the number 0, comma, 3. X ranges in between there. Well, it can equal 0, so I say it's a bracket. It can also equal 3, so it's a bracket. So x is between the interval of 0 and 3, you can include them. The next one, again I write my numbers, -6, comma, -3. I don't include either of them, so it is parentheses. I notice I didn't do any or statements. So I want you right now to make 2 more number lines in your notes. And I'm going to say have your number lines range from 5 to -5. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, -5. I'll give you a minute to get that done. Okay, for or statements, that's when we deal with the infinity signs. How it looks, I start from the left. I'm like, okay, what's the smallest number I have? Well, this keeps going and going and going and going all the way to -infinity, right? So I say my range, my interval, goes from -infinity. You can't include it because you don't know where it is. It's in the middle of nowhere. Okay? -infinity to -1, bracket, because I colored it in.
Wrong way.
Okay? Nope, it's not the wrong way. It's right. Nope, because I start from the left. I go from -infinity to -1, comma, and I go to, what's that? 4, don't include it, all the way to, where am I going? All the way to infinity. Actually, it's separated with an or. So you read it the way you read from left to right. Okay, you say, okay, what's the first number from the left? Well, if it's an or statement, it's negative infinity. Okay, if I'm reading this like a book, I say, okay, I start from negative infinity all the way to -1. Uh-oh, what happened?
Why didn't you switch the brackets so because you colored in this
I colored in the -1, right? So the bracket is aligned with -1. Okay. So again, this next one, I start from left to right. What's the first number I have? Well, I'm going to negative infinity, so my first number is negative infinity. Going all the way to where did I stop? That's a 1. Did I color 1 in? Yeah, I did. So from negative infinity to 1, or, now I'm still going from left to right. Left says I started at negative infinity all the way to 1. And then my eye should go to the 5, colored in, to where? 5 to what? Positive infinity. Parentheses. You can't color in infinity. Okay, it's not there. So here's your little skeleton for interval. Make a T-chart. You should have an or and an and. And this is how they look. And I'm going to give you kind of that skeleton where you fill in the blanks, okay, that you can use to help you. Or interval notations are going to look like this. Negative infinity to a number. And then I'm just going to show you that you're either going to put a parentheses or a bracket. You choose, but you might not like that. Okay? I don't want to say parentheses because I don't want you to forget that it might be a bracket. Or Or you go from a number with a parentheses or bracket, okay? You go from a number, comma, positive infinity, parentheses. And inside these boxes are a number. Ands are a little easier. It looks like 1 point. So you go, it's either going to be a parentheses or a bracket, number, comma, number, parentheses, or a bracket. Okay? And this is some kind of number. We're going to practice 3 more of these. You're going to do it on your whiteboard. I'm going to do it on the smart board here, and I'll record it as well for you to reference. Going to give you a minute to catch up. Okay, first one that we're going to practice. I'm making an open circle at -1 going to the left, and I'm making an open circle at 6 going to the right. Is this an or an and statement? Or. I'm going separate directions, so I'm going to use this one. So I say, okay, negative infinity to a number. My number is -1. Parentheses, because I'm not colored in. Or, my next number is 6, parentheses, going all the way to infinity. You'd never color infinity in. All right, that's me just giving you step-by-step instructions for this first one. Now I'm going to have you work through this yourself. I'm going to have a colored in circle from -4 going to the left, and a colored in circle at 1 going to the right. Express this in interval notation. Okay, I'm going from the left to right here. So I have it's an or statement, so I say I go from negative infinity to a number. My number is -4, bracket, because it's colored in, or My next number is 1, bracket, because it's colored in, to positive infinity, parentheses. No. Because you got to read it like you read a book. Okay, next one. I have a closed circle at -2, and I'm going to 5 with an open circle. Is this an or an and statement? And. So it should be looking something like this. A number, comma, a number, and then are you going to use parentheses or brackets? Okay, so since I have an and statement, I know it's going to be a number, comma, a number. And I already have seen students mess this up with how I write up here, with how we wrote that. So I'm really feeling nervous because kids are actually writing it as parentheses, brackets, and you can't do that. It's one or the other, okay? An and statement is a number, comma, a number. My first number is what? What's my first number? -2. What's my second number? 5. Brackets. Do I have a bracket or parentheses by -2? Bracket, because it's colored in. Do I have a bracket or parentheses by 5? Parentheses, because it's not colored in. So final answer would be -2, 5, parentheses. That's the end of our unit. So 3-6 unit. You have learned it all.